Whispers in the Hollow. A night of unseen dread. A lifetime in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Couldn't it prepare me for the eerie events that unfolded one unsettling night, shattering the safety of my isolated home and sparking a chilling exploration into the unknown? A disturbing night begins. I've spent decades in the Blue Ridge Mountains, accustomed to the night sounds, coyotes howling or a bear rummaging nearby. Nothing usually phases me. That night started typically. Chores, a simple dinner, and my golden retriever Max snoozing by the hearth. Max is the calmest dog I know, barely barking unless the mail carrier arrives. So when a deep guttural growl escaped him around midnight, I nearly spilled my coffee. He stood rigid, hackles up, staring at the window. I saw only my reflection, but his tension unnerved me. I muttered, "Settle down, boy," though my pulse quickened. His tail was stiff, nose pressed to the glass, and I felt a chill I couldn't shake. A tense journey outside. I remembered I needed to secure my shed down the hill, a routine task with a flashlight, but Max IS behavior had me on edge. Still, I grabbed my coat and headed out, Max glued to my side. The air was unnaturally still, devoid of crickets or wind, pressing down like a weight. Halfway there, Max growled again, knotting my stomach. The shed door was ajar, though I'd locked it earlier. Heart pounding, I shut and latched it. Then chaos erupted from the wood's branches snapping, leaves crunching, a sound like a stampede tearing through the underbrush. It was too loud for a raccoon or fox, hinting at something massive. My hands trembled as I fumbled the flashlight, backing toward the house with Max baring his teeth. A home under siege. Inside, I slammed the door and bolted it, my mind racing with explanations. Deer, a bear with cubs, but the noise was too widespread, too deliberate. Max stood guard, eyes on the door, while I realized my rifle was upstairs. Adrenaline surged as I grabbed it, loading it with shaking hands, a desperation I'd never felt in my own home. Max barked a rare, urgent sound, pushing me back onto the porch with the flashlight and rifle. My breath was ragged as I swept the beam across the tree line. Nothing moved, the silence almost oppressive, as if nature held its breath. Then, a low murmur rose from the property's edge, a chorus of hushed voices, not English, but eerily close to speech. Max whimpered, tail tucked, urging retreat. An invisible threat. I felt watched, a presence everywhere yet nowhere, the murmurs shifting, echoing from multiple directions. My light revealed no shapes, but the voices persisted. Nausea hit, and I whispered Max's name for comfort, retreating inside. The door felt flimsy as I latched it, checking windows in the dark, fearing light would expose me. The murmurs vibrated through the walls, a maddening chant, suggesting multiple entities circling after I'd entered. Unable to bear it, I peeked through the curtain by the door. The noise stopped instantly, replaced by a suffocating silence. A shuffle came from the house's corner, then the murmuring resumed, more agitated. I grabbed the rifle, moving to the driveway window with Max, his ears flat. A game of shadows. Shifting the curtain slightly silenced the sounds again. Whatever was out there tracked my every move. It was 1:47 a.m., an hour since the wood's chaos. Yet it felt eternal. Desperate for visibility, I turned on the porch light, nothing but my yard, no figures, not even a raccoon. A single, deliberate footstep crunched the gravel, then paused, repeating in a torturous rhythm. Memories of my grandparents' tales of hill creatures, neither animal nor human, surfaced, tales I'd dismissed. I scribbled notes, times, sounds, the clockwise pattern of whispers, resisting the urge to drown it with music or TV, knowing I needed to hear any breach. The night's turn. By 4:30 or 5 a.m., the murmurs deepened, guttural, then drifted into the woods with rustling and branch snaps. Frogs croaked, birds called, nature resumed, but relief was hollow, my stomach still churning. I checked the windows. The driveway showed only my prints. Max relaxed at dawn's first light, and I stepped onto the porch, rifle ready. Broken branches and disturbed soil lingered, but no tracks beyond mine. The house felt haunted, the voices echo, threatening to return. I drank coffee, watching the sky brighten, vowing to stay alert, unsure if this was a one-time terror or an ongoing menace. A journey to the unknown. Drawn to the region's wild beauty and shadowy hollows, I joined friends for a hike in Laurel Creek State Park, West Virginia, chasing rumors of an old family burial ground on a ridge. We piled into my car early, joking about unseen watchers, my nerves mixing excitement with unease. The parking lot was empty despite a few cars, the park eerily quiet. We started midday under an overcast sky, the forest's muted light and stillness demanding attention. The trail was clear at first, but chatter faded as we felt the woods. Scrutiny fleeting movements in our periphery stopped when we looked. We veered off for the graveyard, following a vague path through thick brush, my arms scratched, compelled by the land's ancient pull. The forgotten graveyard. The terrain grew steep, loose stones threatening falls as we clung to roots. We nearly missed the cemetery, spotting a rusted iron gate and leaning tombstones with faded names, suggesting centuries of neglect. The air was heavy, weeds choking the ground, a musty scent of damp earth rising with each breeze. My pulse raced irrationally as we photographed and cleared vines, lingering longer than planned, fascinated and unnerved by forgotten families. The wind made us pause, expecting figures from the trees, a trick of the mind, I told myself, as sunset painted the ridge in somber hues. A perilous return. Nightfall loomed, forcing us to take the main road back, a safer but longer route to the parking lot. Relief came briefly on the trail, but roots and branches kept us tense, snaps in the brush heightening our unease. Reaching the asphalt, the silence was eerie. No cars, no people, just a heavy quiet. We walked, the trees like silent sentinels, occasional stirrings in the brush unseen. Halfway, 5 silhouettes appeared ahead, standing motionless. Relief turned to confusion as we waved, called out, and got no response. Their forms blurred, lacking detail, then flickered out, leaving an empty road. We stood, stunned, seeking a rational explanation for the inexplicable. Shadows on the ridge, a tale of unseen fears. A peaceful hike in the Appalachian wilderness turns into a haunting ordeal, while a later encounter with a cursed shelter reveals the dark undercurrents lurking in nature's embrace. The vanishing figures. Perhaps the dim forest had tricked our eyes, or the figures simply melted into the night. Reaching the spot where we'd seen them, we found no escape route, a steep drop on one side and a jagged rock slope on the other. Impossible to navigate silently, even in daylight. The asphalt was pristine. No footprints or debris, just an empty road fading into shadow. A chill of dread gripped us as we flashed phone lights and called out, met with silence. The thought of their sudden disappearance heightened our unease, sparking a primal fear I rarely felt. We pressed on, our steps echoing too loudly, glancing back, half expecting the group to reappear. A faint, earthy decay scent briefly hit me, vanishing as quickly as it came, driving us to hurry like never before. Hollow victory. The final stretch to the campground felt surreal. Each of us braced for something to emerge from the dark. Spotting the sign was like crossing into safety, yet the campground was eerily silent. No campfires, no voices, not even a dog's bark. Our car sat alone in moonlit gravel, a welcome sight. We scrambled inside, locking doors instinctively, a precaution that felt warranted despite the isolation. The engine roared to life, headlights piercing the night as we sped out, expecting those figures to loom from the trees or the rearview mirror. Only on the highway did we whisper theories, hallucinations, fading light illusions, or pranksters, but their silent vanishing defied logic. Days later, their flickering image haunted my dreams, turning Appalachian ghost stories into a lingering question. Into the wilderness depths. The Appalachians' rugged beauty and shadowed valleys always drew me, fueling my love for paranormal tales. Convinced I was ready, I began a long trek, starting near Raven's Peak. The land felt steeped in history, Civil War echoes, and ancient tribal scars its worn earth whispering centuries of stories. Camping alone under a dense canopy, the night chorus of crickets and owls fell silent, replaced by a sense of being watched from all sides. My headlamp caught fleeting silhouettes beyond the trees, once revealing a figure in outdated garb behind a trunk, vanishing before I could focus. That threshold feeling kept me awake until dawn. Later, near Stone Hollow, late afternoon light revealed a figure in old military attire along a sunken path, gone in an instant, leaving a silence that unnerved me for days. A bear's unexpected visit. One night, hammocked between trees, I dozed to rustling sounds only to wake to a firm prod. Swinging around, I struck fur a bear's muzzle. Adrenaline surged as I braced for its reaction, but it crashed off, leaving me shaken. The night's every noise kept me tense, though no further threat came. People fixate on that bear story, unaware the trail's true unease lies in its historical echoes, outdated figures, and heavy atmospheres beyond mere wildlife. A night of unseen dread. Crossing into Pine Ridge, I slept under the stars, lured by a clear sky. Past midnight, silence replaced the insect hum, and a faint, eerie whine enveloped me, soft yet inescapable. The air grew heavy, my breathing tight, urging flight. Rationalizing it as wind or an animal, I packed up, headlamp guiding me as the dread lifted after half a mile. The whine faded, leaving me leaning on a tree, torn between investigation and escape. I chose the latter, the experience defying explanation. A stormy interlude. Days later, a storm trapped me and fellow hikers under a shelter near Eagle Crest. Rain pounded, thunder rolled, and hunger drove us to order pizza to the parking lot. After a tense wait, headlights appeared, but the driver, startled by our mud-caked, rain-soaked forms, sped off. Confusion turned to laughter when the real delivery arrived, unfazed, with pizza and beer, joking about our zombie-like state. The humor eased the tension, yet Pennsylvania's eerie whine lingered, hinting at deeper mysteries. A warning ignored. Nearing Willowton, exhausted yet eager, I joined older women at picnic tables who cheered my trek. Their mood shifted when I mentioned camping at an old shelter short of town, urging me to reach Willowton instead, their eyes urgent but silent on details. Despite my aching feet, their unease pushed me onward. The side path to the shelter was steep, roots and stones tripping me as dusk fell, the air growing oppressive. The shelters, built by trail pioneer Tom Carver, sagged with age, their musty boards near a new structure with carved faces on beams, watching silently. A night of unease. I chose an old shelter, its log floor uneven, the carved faces too unsettling for the new one. Dinner distracted me, but wind whistling through the beams and groans from the structure reignited my unease. The women's warning echoed, though I dismissed it as superstition. Night deepened, the woods a black wall, every snap or rustle jolting me awake. Morning's relief spurred a rushed departure, the place's weight lifting with each step toward Willowton. A chilling revelation. In town, updating my mail contact, I casually mentioned the shelter's creepiness, only to learn of 2 hikers murdered there by a bar patron they'd met in Willowton. The news twisted my gut, connecting every odd sound to that tragedy. The women had tried to warn me, their silence now clear. The shelter was more than old wood, it was a crime scene, its darkness human-made. Returning years later, the familiar slope and scarred trees reminded me of that night, the forest seeming to hold its memory, a paradox of beauty and unresolved dread. Echoes of the ridge, a journey through unease. A return to a haunted shelter and a tense road trip through the Appalachians reveal lingering shadows and unexpected dangers, reshaping perceptions of a familiar wilderness. A transformed scene. Descending the familiar path, I anticipated the weathered shelters, their musty logs and eerie carved faces from years past. Instead, the old structures were gone, replaced by splintered wood piles at the clearing's edge. A new shelter stood completed, its carved faces softened by time or countless hands, now resembling vigilant eyes. relief mingled with odd nostalgia for the creepy originals, despite their dark history. Approaching, I spotted a hiker on the porch, sipping from a worn canteen, his trail-worn look suggesting years on the path. We chatted, and he shared his through-hike tale, leading to the area's grim past. A legacy, overshadowed. He recounted a dedication ceremony for the new shelter, where trail pioneer Sam Carver, first to complete the trek in one go, was overlooked by officials, a slight that stung given his legacy. The talk turned darker with the murders at the old shelters, a tale he knew through rumors. Locals aimed for renewal with the new structure, but he noted a belief that the land retained a tainted aura, the violence's echo persisting. "Have you felt that heavy quiet?" he asked, his gaze piercing. I nodded, recalling my own night's dread, and we sat in silence, broken only by wind and a distant stream's murmur. He soon left for town, leaving me with the shelter. An unsettling presence. The new shelter appeared solid beams, a sturdy roof, space for hikers, but those carved faces unsettled me, seeming almost conscious, as if guarding secrets. Walking north later, the trail's gentle climb usually cleared my mind, yet I dwelled on those lost hikers, doubting new wood could erase their memory. Weeks later, at Clear Lake Shelter in Maine, autumn colors framed a serene pond, but an uneasy hush gripped me, reminiscent of Pennsylvania's tension, though no tragedy was known. As dusk fell, every rustle heightened my nerves, sparking a thought. Was I carrying this darkness, replaying it across the trail? Exhaustion eventually pulled me into restless sleep, the chill lingering into morning. Echoes in the land leaving Clear Lake. I realized the trail holds more than beauty. It traps echoes of its darkest moments. No amount of signs or renovations can fully banish history's haunt. The real danger, I mused, lies not just in wildlife or weather, but in the people met along the way and the shadows they leave. That evening I planned a quiet night with Grandpa Hale, perhaps tying fishing knots or tidying his shed. Instead, friends Liam and Tara lured me into our old hide-and-seek game across the Appalachian slopes behind his homestead. Growing up here, I'd explored much, yet Grandpa S. tales of the land, S. memory winds and twigs as signals once seemed fanciful. A night of strange sounds. That night, with the sky ablaze at sunset, Tara was it, and Liam and I climbed the ridge, betting on the steep path to outsmart her. The forest fell silent, lacking its usual evening chorus, heightening our unease as we hid in a shallow dip behind scraggly bushes. Tara's flashlight swept below, but a rhythmic pulse like distant drums reached us, followed by chanting and a haunting bagpipe-like note. The music swelled, protective instincts urging action, yet fear rooted us. It faded abruptly, the silence louder than the sound. We bolted downhill, a root tripping Liam until I steadied him. Tara and Grandpa, lantern in hand, met us, our frantic, "We heard something weird," barely covering the shock. A hidden ceremony. Inside, we locked the door, hearts racing as Grandpa questioned us. Liam described the chanting and bagpipes, while I watched the dark ridge, expecting more. Grandpa checked his radio for events festivals, campers finding nothing, his frown suggesting a buried worry. We huddled, every creak jolting us, Tara noting the ceremonial tone, Liam fixating on the bagpipe's oddity. Grandpa listened, piecing together a puzzle. Morning light softened the night's terror, but my gut insisted it was real. Liam paced, Tara stared at the slope, and Grandpa pored over old notebooks, pointing to a forested patch beyond the ridge where strange footprints and sounds were rumored. Confronting the unknown curiosity drove us back at dawn, sunlight reviving the forest sounds. 20 minutes in, we found multiple footprints in the mud near a game trail, large enough for a group. Tara traced them silently, uneasy. A clearing revealed a stone circle with scorched branches and possible animal bones, and Liam found tartan fabric snagged on a branch. The drumbeat and chanting returned, shadows of 5 or 6 figures with bagpipes and staffs flickering beyond bushes a hidden rite. We ducked, then fled, the echoes chasing us until we reached Grandpa, who urged us inside with his rifle. He nodded, recalling tales of Scottish and Native American settlers blending traditions in secret, their intent unclear. A lingering threat. Grandpa planned to alert rangers, but we sensed an unwelcome presence in the woods at night. Dusk found us by the house, lights blazing, watching the ridge for fire or movement, the drum's memory close. Naming the fear didn't lessen it, and I wondered if we'd escape so easily next time. Driving from Michigan to New York to aid a friend, I expected routine road weariness. Early hours were quiet, a headlight issue in Ohio sparking brief nerves, but rest stops brought restless dozing. Mid-morning, Pennsylvania-ass misty peaks both soothed and unnerved me as I navigated to the city-ass chaos, retrieving my friend and fleeing its congestion westward. A night of pursuit. We stopped at a Walmart lot in western Pennsylvania, its brightness a comfort, but two idling cars with tinted windows raised my hackles. They seemed to edge closer, my friend's shaky confirmation fueling our exit. At the next rest stop, a white SUV with tinted windows eerily similar sat deserted, sparking fears of pursuit. We fled again, highways winding through dark trees, my friend mapping evasive routes. A white Jeep Compass tailed us, its proximity unnerving despite open spaces. Desperation led me to a hidden road, the Jeep overshot, and we reached a small town's fast food haven, collapsing in relief amid normalcy. A lasting unease. Dawn brought life, but not full comfort had we truly escaped. Breakfast grounded us, yet paranoia lingered as we scanned for the Jeep. The trip home through fading mountains left me with a grim awareness of hidden dangers, the white vehicle a shadow in my mind. Once a place of belonging, the Appalachians now carried a warning. Some mysteries are best left undisturbed. Shadows on the Trail, a hiker's tale of survival. In the late 1980s, a young hiker's dream trek along the Appalachian Trail turns into a harrowing escape from an unseen threat, revealing the wild's hidden dangers and a family legacy of survival. A dream takes shape. In my mid-20s during the late 1980s, I was deeply immersed in hiking and camping. Rhode Island, my home state, felt too small. Its local campgrounds quickly explored, pushing me toward wilder horizons. The Appalachian Trail beckoned, a badge of honor among outdoor enthusiasts. My uncle, from my father's side, had trekked its full length in a single summer during the 1950s, regaling me with tales of untouched wilderness whenever hiking came up. Inspired, I planned to follow his path, though work limited me to a 2-week stretch from Harper's Ferry to Asheville, North Carolina, a dream long nurtured. The journey begins. In the summer of 1989, I traveled by bus and train to Harper's Ferry, gear on my back, stocking up on supplies before stepping onto the trail. The first days were grueling, my body adjusting to the strain, hunger, and exhaustion unlike anything I'd known. I carried a hammock, wary of West Virginia's notorious insects assassin bugs with their piercing mouths and cow-killer ants, whose stings were rumored to fell cattle, likely exaggeration, but daunting. Each night, I strung it between trees, its discomfort outweighed by protection from spiders. The wood's nocturnal calls, hoots, and squawks woke me often, an expected trade-off for nature's embrace. A chilling encounter. One night, a rustling in the leaves jolted me awake. Peering over my shoulder, my blood froze at a large, dark silhouette looming above. It was a person, motionless, staring. Instinct kicked in, I rolled out and sprinted into the trees, uninterested in their intent. After a safe distance, I circled back cautiously, finding my camp deserted, gear intact. A gut feeling warned they might lurk, waiting to ambush. Grabbing my belongings, I fled, hiking hard for days to distance myself, assuming safety. Yet, sleep eluded me, the figure's silent watch haunting my thoughts. A new defense unease persisted until I bought fishing line in a small town, rigging tripwires with bean cans as alarms. A fox once triggered it, sending me tumbling with a knife, only to laugh at the fleeing critter. I ditched the knife habit, avoiding accidents. A week passed, the incident fading, my tripwires restoring sleep. Until one night I awoke paralyzed, hammock fabric smothering me. A snap, and I hit the ground, winded. The hammock dragged, realization dawning. Someone had cut the ropes, bundling me to haul me away. Screaming brought no response, just the rustle of fabric. A desperate escape. Weaponless since ditching the knife, I recalled my father's old wristwatch, its worn, sharp clasp. In the dark, unbuckling it and gripping the edge, I sawed at the fabric. The clasp, once a nuisance, cut through, moonlight piercing the tears. Ripping free, I fled again, terror surpassing the first encounter. This time, the tracker had followed over 100 miles, evading my wires, a woodsman superior to me. Reaching a lit house, I banged on the door, glancing back, no one. The family sheltered me, and the sheriff, arriving at dawn, retraced my steps, finding my camp, but not the hammock. Skeptical, he suggested I'd panicked or dreamed vividly from exhaustion, but my sweaty palms affirmed reality. A journey abandoned. I never finished the hike, busing back to Harper's Ferry, then training to Providence, sharing the tale with few, fearing disbelief or campfire legend labels. Years later, I told my uncle, expecting mockery. Instead, he nodded, admitting his own close calls, encounters with unfriendly mountain dwellers, outlaws living beyond society, and sights he wouldn't name. I vowed to retry, older and wiser, perhaps armed, the trail waiting, though so might my pursuer. A dark trail. History raised alone in Pearisburg, Virginia. Randall Hayes's mother was a quiet laundry worker at a local hospital, oddly dressing him in girls' clothes early on, possibly shaping his isolation. Schoolmates dubbed him Lying Randall for tales of wealth and adventures, marking him a loner. Post-high school, he took odd jobs, relishing the freedom to roam the Appalachian Trail, vanishing for days. Stretching over 2,000 miles from Georgia to Maine, the trail draws thousands yearly, a rite for hikers seeking nature's peace. Yet it harbors violence, like the 2008 abduction and murder of Emily Carter by drifter James Nolan on Blood Ridge, or the 1981 case of two Maine social workers, Laura Bennett and James Carver, hiking for charity. A tragic discovery. Bennett and Carver befriended another hiker, planning to reunite in Pearisburg, but when they vanished, their friend alerted authorities. Deputy Mark Evans led a search, questioning hikers. Near Wapiti Cabin, a rest shelter, one group recalled a strange man with the pair. Reaching it on May 30th, 1981, 11 days later, survival odds, slim a deputy spotted a bloodstain on the floorboards, hinting at a grim fate. Whispers of the Wild. A trail of terror. A search along the Appalachian Trail uncovers a gruesome crime, leading to the capture and eventual downfall of a notorious figure whose dark legacy haunts the region. A grim discovery. The search party spread out, combing the area until they stumbled upon a small clearing with a suspicious pile of leaves, hastily arranged to conceal something. Brushing them aside, they uncovered a cloth sleeping bag holding a heavy, ominous shape. Cutting it open, they found the body of Laura Bennett, one half of the charity hiking duo, brutally slain. The next day, a sniffer dog led them to a tree stump where James Carver's body lay buried, also in a sleeping bag, marked by a single .22 caliber bullet wound to the head. Bennett had suffered multiple stabs and a fatal bludgeoning, their bodies dragged from a nearby rest shelter to these burial sites. Clues and suspicions. Deputies recovered Bennett's camera, its film stripped and stolen, thwarting hopes of photographic evidence. Her backpack yielded a paperback, sent for fingerprint analysis. Most prints matched Bennett, but one set belonged to an unknown individual, initially mistaken for Carver's, until identified as belonging to Randall Hayes, a local known as Lying Randall. Sheriff's deputies rushed to his Pearisburg home, finding him absent but securing a warrant. Inside, they discovered blood-stained clothes, items linked to the hikers, pornographic materials, and improvised hospital tool toys. plus a note claiming kidnapping and execution written in Hayes's hand, a clear ruse. The chase begins. With Hayes on the run, police scoured his haunts and the Virginia Appalachian stretch, finding no trace. Deputy Mark Evans, exhausted, took his family to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a break. Ironically, a call from headquarters reported an arrest there of a man suspected in the hikers' deaths. Evans hurried to the scene, where the suspect, covered in trail-consistent insect bites risking infection, claimed amnesia. To confirm his identity, deputies presented a medical consent form. He signed Randall Lee Hayes, sealing his fate. At 27, he was extradited to Virginia, facing first-degree murder charges. A controversial outcome. Initially facing a possible death penalty, Hayes accepted a plea deal for a 30-year sentence, influenced by Bennett's father, a minister opposed to execution, and prosecutors' concerns over a weak motive case. The reduced term sparked outrage among locals and hikers. Serving 15 years as a model inmate, Hayes was released in 1996, returning to Pearisburg as an outcast. Living with his mother until her 2000 death, he grew reclusive, still frequenting the trail, unrecognizable at 54, thin, pale, limping, his boyish features hardened by prison. A final act of violence. In March 2008, Hayes seemed to abandon hope, removing photos from his mother's home, packing camping gear, and vanishing with his dog into the woods. To Pearisburg, he disappeared, a relief to some. Months later, on May 6th, fishermen Tom Harris and Mike Reed enjoyed a serene day on Brushy Ridge, catching trout, when a stooped man waved and approached, introducing himself as Terry Brooks. Following Appalachian hospitality, they shared fish, noting his gaunt frame and hungry dog. Brooks spun tales of graduating top of his class at Virginia Tech, authoring NASA spaceflight papers, and owning lavish homes with a pageant-winning wife, obvious fabrications. A deadly turn. As dusk neared, Harris and Reed hinted he should leave, wary of night's dangers. Brooks revealed as Hayes lingered, then drew a .22 pistol, firing 4 shots. The first hit Reed in the temple, the second grazed Harris's neck. As they fled, a third struck Reed's chest. A fourth hit Harris's neck again. Bloodied, Harris hid behind a tree, while Reed reached his truck. Through the window, Hayes aimed, but the gun jammed out of bullets. Reed gunned the engine, speeding toward a road where Harris, surviving, intercepted him. They piled in, wounds severe, the nearest hospital 30 miles away on a dark, cell-dead road. A race against time. 5 agonizing minutes later, they reached a lit house. Harris pounded the door, shouting for help, as homeowner Sarah Johnson hesitated, fearing intrusion. Her son, Jake, 20, fetched towels and dialed 911. 20 minutes passed, blood-soaked towels piling up, Harris calling his parents, certain he'd die. An ambulance arrived with police, but stabilization failed, prompting a helicopter for emergency surgery. Harris, choking on blood, was airlifted, convinced of death, while Reed, shot in head and chest, joined him. Landing in Roanoke, Harris survived the rotor blast, thanks to Jake's quick thinking with a missing poster identifying Hayes. The end of the line. That night, a state trooper spotted Harris's stolen truck near Pearisburg, initiating a chase. Hayes, panicking, crashed and flipped it. The trooper, gun drawn, found Hayes strapped inside, the .22 out of reach, his eyes chillingly cold. Unconscious, Hayes was taken to the same hospital as the fisherman, later claiming self-defense. Stable, he was moved to New River Valley Regional Jail's medical wing on May 9, 2008. Days later, a guard brought his dinner, but Hayes, unhinged, didn't respond.